if I were not to recognize my beautiful wife, the outstanding mother of my children, my sweetheart, Mamasu Sayo Komara Dudu. She makes me extremely proud, not only because I've known her for 16 years, and 10 of those years she's been my dutifully serving wife, but because she's made me a better person. She's taught me that you set your goals and work towards those goals, and eventually, if you keep persisting, you are going to succeed. Today, when I met her as a very young woman, she had graduated high school. I've watched her grow and mature through an associate's degree, through a bachelor's degree, through today a master's degree, through close to 3 children. What else can I ask for? Congratulations. I'm proud of you, and I'm sure MMA is proud of you. Thank you. When I was asked to speak to this gathering tonight, I was a little taken aback. I protested. My wife graduates on that day. So what? Dudu, step up. You belong to this community. I belong to this community. I must always step up when I'm called upon. So I want us to begin tonight by observing a moment of silence for all our community members who have recently departed, most especially for a brother whom I still think of like I shouldn't be speaking of him in the past. Brother Mamadi, Fanta Mamadi Solomani Jakite. Please join me in a moment of silence in his honor. Amina, thank you so very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have much to say tonight. I've spoken a lot all day, so I chose to talk to you briefly about my experience with servant leadership. I chose to parlay what I learned from the late Mamadi Jakite in a short time of our acquaintance into a very brief statement. In March of this year, I made a trip to Liberia for the first time in over 16 years. And I was opportune to meet a very young man. A man with what it seems like his entire life ahead of him. A man who had grasped the attention of national political leadership in Liberia and beyond. A man who our community looked up to as a shining example of what we all can aspire to become someday. I met this gentleman, and he taught me for the brief hour interaction what servant leadership is all about, as encapsulated in his words, bringing sense to the discourse. So tonight I'd ask you to join me to explore a little bit about bringing sense to the discourse, servant leadership in today's world. When I met Fanta Mamadi Soleimani Jakite on our fateful morning in Monrovia, I expected to see somebody acting like a boss, because I know it is almost a given that people who've acquired either great education or great power or some degree of financial wealth, most people of that nature kind of tend to look a little down upon the rest of us. I walk in, and this guy wants to make me coffee. I'm like, no, you don't have to. But what I walk away with that morning is the fact that money should not change us, power should not change us, education should not change us. We can make the world a better place. We can make our community a better place. We can make each other better people if we lift each other up and not tear each other down. Tribalism, sectionalism, nepotism, those concepts are anathema to progress. So my message tonight, to those of you assuming leadership, is to come to your various positions and your various responsibilities with an open mind. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Financial Secretary, Mr. Secretary General, and all of you guys around these leaders. Being a leader does not equate to being a ruler. We are not looking for rulerships. We are looking for leaders. And being leaders, sometimes you have to follow the people you lead. Don't be misled. My friend Sissy Goya says, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Right? So I call on you guys to stay in your lane. By that, I'm not calling on you to be complacent. I'm not calling on you to be a carpetbagger. I'm calling on you to be active, to be proactive, to work in league with each other as you move our community forward. And because you are our leaders, don't make you our rulers. Be a servant leader. Be open-minded. Bring forethought to your actions. Think before you talk. Put your mind engage your mind before you put your mouth in gear, or else you'll start to sound like a presidential candidate of the United States I know. I'll keep him nameless. Right? So ladies and gentlemen, we've had a long day. I do not want to consume all of the time. I know we got to dance, so I promise, like Professor Zuba Panaku, I'm a teacher. Talking is what I do for survival. That's how I get paid. But I do not intend to make you my classroom tonight. There's a lot ahead of us. So for those of you who came from afar and came here tonight, we are honored by your presence. I call on you, our leaders. I call on you, our community members, to bring sense to the discourse. Bringing sense to the discourse means, in my view, and the way I saw the late Mamadi Jakite live it, was to listen to the opposing views, no matter how hurtful, no matter how much you disagree with those views. We must learn to disagree agreeably. Just because I disagree with Professor Panaku or Executive Director Kiatamba, of course Kiatamba and I disagree a lot, but it does not mean that we cannot seize upon those moments of disagreements to make ourselves better thinkers, to capitalize on the intellectual wits of the opposing views, to understand that if we had just a one-way street of thinking, everybody thought alike, we might not even be a surviving human species. So I call on you, like our Imam did a couple of hours ago at my house, do not let education change you. Do not let power change you. Do not let wealth change you. Do not let disagreement erode the very fabric of human decency that we all should thrive upon and work towards to make our communities and our societies, our families better for it. If we do, we make ourselves better. If we do, we have laid a roadmap for our own children, for generations yet unborn, to become a generation that moves humanity forward, we should ask ourselves, what legacies do we want to leave? You don't live for living's sake. Living is not free. Living, you don't live just for yourself. It would be selfish of us to think that we live for ourselves. I live for me, my wife, and my children. That idea of individualism, that idea about me and me and me only, for most of us in this room at least, who have African roots, that idea is foreign. That's not how we grew up. When I was growing up in the little village in Gondola, which of course is bigger than Masambola, where Madisese comes from, but when I was growing up, it was raised in the kids by committee. If I went swimming in the village, I'm in the river where my dad had told me not to swim, and Omekbanaku saw me, he gave me a ball whipping. Well, we don't have that luxury in this country. We can touch other people's kids, but we can talk to other people's kids. We can let other people's kids see us model what good behavior is, what civilized behavior is. By civilized, I don't mean being Western. By civilized, I mean exhibiting those basic qualities of human decency, those basic qualities of living for the next person, those basic qualities of avoiding backbiting, those basic qualities of lifting other people up as a way to lift yourself up. If I go to my classroom and I walk away making sure that I have one student understand a concept, I go home feeling happy no matter whether my wife took the upstairs, what you call it, the remote control, and send me in the basement to watch my sports. I don't care. I know you only do that when you're mad sometimes. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. I don't want to eat up much of your time, but as Professor Kwanaku will allude, when we start talking as teachers, we don't stop. So, finally, Mr. President and your core officers, thank you for choosing me tonight. Thank you for stepping forward to lead this community. But again, let me remind you, you have a big responsibility. We call on you at times when you are indisposed. But once you step up, you've stepped up. No excuses. For 2 years, you've got to listen to our every call. For 2 years, you got to let your wives sometimes complain. For 2 years, you got to drive to Asego when I called upon you. Follow in the footsteps of Mamadi Jakite. Bring sense to the discourse. Come to every discussion, no matter with whom, with an open mind. Be like Kiatamba, who argues endlessly on different things, but do so in a good way to understand the intricacies of every argument, to see the different intellectual arguments being proposed by both sides or other sides. I've learned from that young man for so long. We go way back, over 20 years. I don't want to say how old we are, but that's how far back we are, right? So thank you so very much. I appreciate you giving me this platform, and I look forward to a great evening. Thank you.
That was a powerful speech. As my friend and brother would say, Liberia is getting better. The motherland will never fall. Bringing sense to the issues. That was the late Mamadi Jakite.